Hi guys, and welcome back to Cynthia's Eats and Travels. And today we're going to talk about we're going to talk about 7 tips to have a smooth and stress-free embarkation day. So cruising is supposed to be relaxing. It's supposed to be fun. Overall, vacation in and of itself is supposed to be a really great experience. However, a lot of people notice when traveling, when it comes to cruising, embarkation day can be a nightmare unless you have taken the steps to prepare appropriately to make sure the process is stress-free and as smooth as possible. And we're going to talk about how you can do that so you can start off your cruise vacation the right way. Okay, so first up, let's talk about the 72 to 48 hours prior to your embarkation day. The first thing you want to do here is you want to check and make sure your balance on the cruise website has been resolved. You don't want to get on board and find out that you got some unresolved fees that you had not planned for, and now there's this whole issue there at the counter. You don't want that. So check the cruise website and make sure that all balances have been taken care of. Make sure also that you have the correct card placed on your account. Because you don't want to get on board the ship and now you got to stand in guest services line with all the other people that got issues and drama going on. You don't want to have to do that. So 72 to 48 hours prior to your cruise day, check and make sure you have the right credit card or whatever placed onto your account for all of your tips and fees and things like that, your gratuity. You want to make sure your gratuity is attached to the right card, or you want to make sure you remove a card and just place cash on there, or just remove the card and then place cash on there when you get on board. And that'll make your situation when you get on board a lot more simpler and easier for you throughout your cruise vacation. At least 24 hours prior to you leaving on your cruise vacation. I would say you can also you put this in the 72 to 48 hours, but at least 24 hours before you go on your cruise vacation, please check with your bank as well as your cell phone carrier. Check in with them to see what types of fees and things that you may occur while you're out at sea, or most notably, you want to check in with your bank and let them know, hey, I'm going to be traveling from this date to this date, so that they do not place freezes or holds on your account. Now that you and I both know can be an absolute and utter nightmare. So make sure you contact your bank and say, hey, I'm going to be traveling. I may have extra charges. Make sure that I had limits placed on how much I would spend per day, just to kind of prevent fraud and stuff, someone stealing my card or whatever, me losing my card. So make sure you don't have certain limits, or maybe you want to place certain limits on your accounts so that if something was to happen, you don't have to worry about someone completely deleting out depleting your account. So you want to check with your bank and let them know that, hey, I'm going to be traveling the next few days. Also, you want to check with your cell phone carrier and see, like, hey, at some point I'm going to be out at sea. At some point I'm going to be at these certain countries. Do I have coverage? If I do not have coverage, how much does it cost for me to be at these certain countries trying to use my phone in case of emergency, perhaps? I know for me with AT&T, there's a lot of countries that they allow coverage for, and it goes into your unlimited plan. So you just want to check with them, because you may be able to use your phone as much as you want, and you're just assuming because, I'm international, I can't use my phone. And that may actually not be the case. Okay, so tip number 3, I'm not sure if we're at 3, but I think we're at 3. Tip number 3, you want to visit the cruise line's website. You want to know, and you want to do this also. This can kind of fall into the 72 to 48 hours in advance. You want to make sure that the documents that you believe you have that you will need to board the ship that you actually have in your possession. Of course, you do not want to be there all the way there at the desk and they're like, hey, hand me your birth certificate, hand me your passport, and you have neither, or you have a form of your birth certificate that they do not accept. So you want to make sure that those things that you have what the cruise line is requesting for you to board the ship. Also, included in this tip number 3, you want to check the cruise line's website to make sure you're not planning to bring in items that they have listed as prohibited. So, and that can be plenty of items that we think is no harm, but for the cruise lines, they don't they just don't want certain items on board their ships. So you want to check the cruise line's website to make sure you have not packed anything in particular. Maybe, grandma's favorite pie or whatever. I mean, I don't know if anyone's trying to bring a pie, but I'm just saying, you're not trying to bring certain foods or things like that they have listed as prohibited. Tip number 4 for having a smooth and relaxing and stress-free cruise vacation. Well, at least embarkation day. Research the parking and drop-off situation for your particular cruise terminal. You want to make sure that if you're going to have Uber or some other form of transportation, that they are aware of where they're supposed to drop you off at. Now, a lot of the companies that work nearby, they already know these things and they can kind of advise you, but you don't want to get there at the port and realize that you got to walk like almost a mile to get to the actual cruise terminal with a bunch of heavy luggage. You want to know where you can get dropped off at. Will there be porters there to handle your bags? If you are actually driving in, research some of the parking garages, because I've looked at a few reviews for some parking garages and they're not all monitored 24 hours. Some of them have really long walks and processes in order for you to get to your terminal from the parking port. Be sure that some of them have actual shuttles available that can take you from your car to the terminal and drop you off right at front. You don't want to have to carry those bags across long walkways, especially if it's like not so great weather on your embarkation day. Embarkation day tip number 5. So tip number 5 is pack light. Try to have a minimal amount of things in hand during embarkation day. Let me tell you, you do not want the frustration of fumbling around for your documents. You're trying to make sure you don't misplace your car keys. You just park your car. You're trying to make sure that you have your personal items with you. You don't want to have a bunch of things in hand. So if at all possible, try to minimize what you have in hand during the time that you're going through this whole process. This process will feel a lot rushed. It'll feel a little bit scatterbrained, and it'll just kind of add to the stress if you got a bunch of things in your hands and you're not sure if you're misplacing or dropping something, or even you actually do happen to misplace and lose something. So that's my tip number 5. Please try to pack light on your embarkation day, and when you're actually going into the terminals or the port, try to have things in an organized manner and as less things as possible in hand. Tip number 6, be cute, but be comfortable. So a lot of times you kind of have a general idea of what the weather will be like for your embarkation day. However, sometimes you're not actually prepared fully for whether or not you may or may not have a long line. Sometimes the cruise terminals have delays because they have system interruptions. Sometimes they just have way more people embarking on that day than usual. So sometimes you're standing in long lines. Sometimes you have a long walk to your actual terminal. Sometimes when you're actually within the terminal, you have another long wait in lines there. So dress comfortable, try to dress appropriate for the weather, and definitely wear comfortable shoes. So tip number 7, I highly advise you driving in or flying in the day before your cruise. Now, I understand sometimes if you're trying to just jump on a quick little cruise weekend thing, maybe that's not what you had planned to do. You're trying to save a little money. But if it is at all possible that you can drive in or fly in the day before your cruise, do so. This will take out a lot of the stress and frustration on your actual cruise day. Because if you have a hotel room or something to stay overnight, it allows you a chance to kind of get relaxed, get out of the whole rush mode. It'll allow you to have a little more clear mind. You can start getting things together, like as far as like putting your luggage tags on your suitcases, kind of getting things rearranged in your suitcases, doing the whole little minimum things as possible within your hand on the day of embarkation. It can allow you to get a little bit more organized and feel a little less rushed during this embarkation day process. And so here's a tip let's say this is tip number 7B. Do whatever you can to kind of relax yourself and get yourself mentally prepared for this. It's kind of a frustration day. It can be a little chaotic and a little crazy. So take time for yourself to kind of get mentally prepared, mentally centered, and know that it's going to be a little stressful, but it'll be well worth it in the end. After all, you're getting ready to go on a wonderful cruise vacation. You're going to be out on the high seas. You're going to have plenty of entertainment, plenty of great food, and cruising in and of itself is a really all-inclusive and can be a very relaxing vacation. Like, in my opinion, one of the best vacations that you can take out there. So get yourself mentally prepared to be calmed, centered, clear-minded, and just know that although it'll be a little crazy and chaotic this first day, it'll be well worth it in the end.